Hi dears, once again welcome to English classes at Radhika Ramesh. Today we are going to discuss an essay which is written by the great writer George Orwell. He is writing about the importance of science and what is meant by science actually. Introduction. Here, George Orwell examines the meaning of science. What is meant by science? It is written in the context of modern politics and ideology. It argues that science is not merely a collection of facts or laboratory experiments, but a method of thinking based on reason, skepticism, and intellectual honesty. Even now people used to believe that science is very much related to somewhat physics, chemistry, and other such other scientific materials, but it is not like that. Science is what a person who is thinking with his reason, his or her reason, and skepticism means that is not biased by any kind of blind belief, and it is a kind of intellectual honesty. We should be intellectually honest towards our uh, scientific ideology, because a scientist will always be true to his or her intellect. Okay, so that is whatever is being drawn out in the name of science should be very much intellectually, it should be an intellectual property. Now, George Orwell is telling about some reverence or some respect, blind respect that are being given to scientists. Nowadays, people used to believe that science and scientists are somewhat allied in this society. So it may create some moral or political judgment in the society, and such people will always see what humanities and other art subjects are inferior to science. He is asking, what is science? According to him, two different senses for science are there. They are sciences, exact sciences. Sciences is exact sciences like subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, etc. These subjects are always closely related to laboratories, instruments, experiments, and technical knowledge. Okay, so that is by thinking about a scientist, what is the image that usually comes into your mind? That is a scientist who is in his laboratory, is working with test tubes, microscopes, and such other machines, right? So is this science? This is the question raised by George Orwell. The next option for science is that science is method of thought. Okay, science is not a subject of study, but it is he is describing it as a method of thought. The way of thinking based on observation, logical reasoning, verification, willingness to accept facts as if they challenge beliefs. So all these are uh, coordinating, or all these are leading to science. Okay, the concept of science is an idea which is being derived from observation, logical reasoning, verification, and willingness to accept facts even if they challenge beliefs. Beliefs means belief in God or something. So this is the second thought on science. So he is telling that what is meant by science. Okay, whether option A or B. He supports the second option. Science is not merely the subjects, but the way of thinking, thinking rationally without fear. It is an intellectual property. So here he is telling about the misunderstanding of scientific education. By science, people usually mean more physics, more chemistry, and more biology. Okay, that is, we are not teaching people how to think rationally. Even if they are studying physics, chemistry, biology, they are by hearting things, right? They are not at all thinking with their intellect. So some people, as a result of this, what is the a common consciousness is being concluded, that is, the subjects other than science, that is literature, history, philosophy, and the arts, are treated as less important subjects. The scientific things are subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, and other things are being treated as very elite subjects. Economics and sociology are often excluded from being called science. We know that economics and sociology are very much related to science because rational thinking is very much needed for these subjects. Orwell is telling that science has its own prestige nowadays. Is it dangerous? He is telling that it is a kind of dangerous prestige because people used to worship scientists, and scientists are the only reliable persons of today's world. That is, they are inventing certain things, some more, or they make life easier and comfortable. So they are the most reliant people in this world. People usually think like that, but he is telling about this is a false belief. Scientists should be in control. Okay, so he is questions the authority of scientists. That is, people used to think that scientists are more intelligent, their opinions on politics, moral, or society are more reliable. Maybe the scientists won't come out of their laboratories, but they are openly saying about the society, political scenarios, etc. So we cannot rely upon such statements of these scientists other than science. Maybe in their realm, in their area, they will be authentic, but in other areas like morality and sociology, there won't be authentic. So we cannot rely upon such statements of scientists. Then Orwell is telling about the moral responsibility of the scientists, whether they are morally and socially responsible persons. He is telling that the scientists are not at all morally responsible persons, because during the Nazi Germany, or during the reign of Hitler, scientists supported Hitler, and they supported him in making of atom bombs. And we know that they experimented on making atom bombs and all. So we know that uh, they actively supported war research, weapon development, racial science, etc. So how can we tell that racial science means that Hitler has killed so many Jews during the Second World War or before the Second World War? So they supported such things only because they supported the authority. They are not at all thinking openly or creatively. They are blindly supporting the authority for some personal gain or something. So we know that unlike journalists and artists, okay, the scientists are blindly supporting the authority or the government. They are always obeying the directions of the government without thinking that whether it is right or wrong. So here they are not scientific according to George Orwell, because George Orwell is telling scientific things should be rationally observed. Okay, one person, if he is a scientist or he is a science person, should think with his ration or with his brain or with his intellect. Okay, so in that sense, these scientists are not at all what they are not at all scientific. Okay, they do not have scientific temper. So here he is telling about the nationalism and ideology of the scientists. He is comparing to the responsibility of a scientist when compared to a journalist or an artist. Science and nationalism. So here, George Orwell is telling about who is a scientist, whether he is a national property or an international property. Uh, During the wars, the scientists usually support their governments, and they are trying to make weapons to destroy other nations, right? So we cannot say that they have international face. Okay, then they are working. We know that scientists have produced atomic bombs in order to destroy other people or other lives, or mass destruction will be caused by this atomic bomb. So how can we tell that scientists are morally correct people? That is, they are making weapons to kill people. But journalists and scientists, sorry, artists are far more better than these scientists because they are not at all ready to kill others, or they won't making any propaganda to kill innocent people. But these scientists are very dangerous, according to George Orwell. Here, George Orwell is telling about criticism of more science education. Orwell does not oppose scientific education. It is necessary for a society, but he criticizes the way it is usually understood. He tells that teaching only technical science is not at all so positive to the society. It may narrow the mind of people, and it encourages contempt of non-scientific knowledge. So people, that is nowadays people used to practice that, that is arts and other subjects are inferior to science. People used to believe like that. So are politically naive. Okay, so but we know that journalists and artists are far more better than scientists because they used to think with their reason or with their intellect, not support the government blindly like scientists do. They won't kill people like the scientists are doing with their experiments. Then he is telling about the political responsibility of a scientist. So he is telling maybe an illiterate present with a historical memory is far more better than a scientist in better political judgments. We cannot rely upon the judgments of a scientist, even though they are highly educated. They will be always working in within the four walls of the laboratory, so they cannot make some political judgments because they are morally irresponsible persons. Most of the scientists are morally responsible persons because they do lack the awareness of history. So one should know history, then only he can or she can criticize the society or the government or the political things happening in our society. So, what is the meaning of scientific education? So, scientific education should mean developing a rational and skeptical habit of mind. Okay, a person who is in the temper of scientific thinking should have a skeptical habit of mind. He should be skeptical. That is, skeptical means actually it is related to atheism. That is, this he or she should not believe in God in blind beliefs. So, learning how to question authority, avoid self deception, test ideas against facts. This should be learned by the scientists. Okay, they should not obey the authority or the government blindly. If the government is asking them to make atom bombs, they should think, or they should retort that they have some social responsibility. They should not do that. Okay, they should not go after money. Okay, so understanding that science is a method, not just information. It's not just a subject, it is the method of thinking. It is applicable to all areas of life. Okay, not only to physics, chemistry, and biology, but if we are thinking or if we are approaching life in a very rational or skeptic way, we can see that or we can conclude that we are doing something scientific in our life. How do the scientists receive the opinion of George Orwell that science is not just oriented to some subjects like physics, chemistry, and biology, but it is a general method of thinking? Obviously, the scientists will reject it. They won't admit the fact that science is just a method of thinking. Why? Because they think that they are superior to other people. That is, their subject of study is very much superior to the other subjects like arts and humanities. So, It's a part of professional jealousy. So scientists won't admit that science is something related to the way of thinking, not rather than the subject of study. Now, George Orwell is telling about uh, a very ancient concept whether science or humanities is important, which one is superior. So we know that the scientists or our society used to believe that science is useful, poetry, literature and other art subjects are useless. But the point is that but the truth is that cultural education helps develop moral judgment, historical awareness and ethical responsibility in people. Poetry, literature, and arts are very culturally related to one's people. It will make people more viable to moral judgment, historical awareness, and ethical responsibility. So, we know that during the Second World War, some scientists refused to work on the atomic bomb. That means those scientists had backgrounds in literature, history, and arts. That is why they are very good. They possessed very good minds because, only because they studied humanities subjects. Okay, so humanities is important, or balanced education is also important. If a person who is sitting in the laboratory won't understand what is going on around the world, and that person is not at all eligible to talk about the things or trends that is happening in the world, that is happening in the society, we may consider these scientists are very intellectual persons, and they are very as they are very um, important persons in the world, but they may lack um, uh, thinking power, or they may lack historical aspects, or they may lack humanity and cultural knowledge. This will lead to some dangerous situations. Okay, so balanced education is important. That is only scientific education is not at all enough for a very good person. So that person should be balanced with some other types of subjects like arts and humanities. George Orwell is concluding his essay by telling that society needs both science and humanities. We cannot imagine a world without science. The scientists are producing some magnificent objects through inventions, through their experiments. Without this, we cannot live, we cannot move on nowadays. But if they lack some literary, historical, and cultural education, what will happen? That is, science without ethics and culture can become dangerous. We know that the people, that is, scientists are very educated people, and they are very um, they are thinking rationally. That is, we used to believe that, and they are skeptical in nature, but uh, some of them are working for some dangerous things like atom bombs and all, to destroy humanity, right? Okay, so this may cause dangerous things or harmful things to the humanity itself. Hope the video is understood and the meaning is conveyed. After listening this video, please read the text and answer the questions after the text. Okay, thank you for watching.